I've slept by a canal holding a sign for money with my face completely destroyed. I've had a 6-figure paying job with a fiance, a car, a home, everything I could have ever wanted. With both, I couldn't stop getting high. I went through 3 inpatient centers, 5 outpatient centers, and more than 10 detoxes, so many I had to lose count. And today, I run a recovery center that has helped over 5,000 people in the last 3 years. My name is Wade, and this is my story. I grew up in St. Cloud, Minnesota, in a home with 2 parents who more than loved me. I had a sister who was more like a babysitter than an older sibling, but our house was chaos. We found out later that my dad was using meth and my mom was a workaholic. I was well liked in school, I had plenty of friends and played sports. My dream was always to be a pro athlete. And for a while, things were good. My relationship with my parents was solid, my family and friends were solid, until high school, and that's when everything changed. But our house was chaos, and from the outside, it probably looked pretty normal. There was always this tension underneath everything, even when I was too young to understand it. In 10th grade, my family got separated, and my parents went through a really nasty divorce. And I don't just mean a divorce where I bounced around houses, I mean my entire life got flipped upside down. I got put into foster care and into group homes, and what should have been the most exciting time of my life turned into one of the most embarrassing, humiliating. I went from being a popular kid who was captain on a lot of sports teams to someone who was kind of a pariah in different friend groups, and I didn't really understand why. That kind of thing does something to you. And so I started using as a freshman. It wasn't some dramatic moment. It was something I used so I could fit in with the older guys I played sports with. My drug of choice was opiates. And at first, I had a choice. I used it for sports, for fun, for relaxing, to feel more accepted so I could put everything that was going on inside me at bay and I could just be a kid. But later on, it turned into something much darker for me. But over time, it stopped being fun. I had to have it just to feel normal so I could stop being sick. I think I knew I was in trouble way earlier than I'd like to admit, but when I really noticed was around 23 or 24, when it was the first time I actually tried stopping and I couldn't explain why. I just couldn't put the substance down. That's what people don't understand about addiction. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a rock bottom or it was one bad decision. A lot of times it gets out of control before the person even knows what's happening. They try putting it down and they all of a sudden can't. I've went through 3 inpatient treatment centers, 5 outpatient centers, more than 10 detoxes, more times than I can even count. Tried mat services, off of mat services, anything I could imagine to stop using. But no matter what I seemed to do, I couldn't stop coming back to the drugs of choice. My longest stretch of sobriety was 10 months. How, after 10 months, could I go back to using? I had jobs to feed my addiction that I could barely hold on to. I stole, I manipulated family, friends to borrow money that I could never pay back. I went to any lengths to continue to get high. I would wake up dope sick, uncomfortable in sweats, my body shaking and trembling, knowing that there was only one thing that was going to make it all go away. And it wasn't even sometimes the fact that I had to have the substance in the body, but on my way to getting the drug, just having it in my hand, I would instantly feel better. Do you know how sick of a feeling it is to know when you instantly have it in your hand, you start to feel internally better from being dope sick? I would have to hustle all day long just to get enough and then go across town to meet my dealer to get just well again. It was a painful demise over and over on an everyday basis. And if I couldn't get to my dealer, a lot of times I would just pick up shooters or even some amphetamines, which I didn't even like, just to try to make it through the night. I was in survival mode. I wasn't thriving. I wasn't making choices. My body was in autopilot, just trying to survive. The weird part is, when I had money, it didn't really look much different. I would wake up, I would call my dealer, I would pick up, I'd be in some random hotel room that I'd be hiding out from the world, and I would use all day long until I passed out. Again, not living, but just surviving. I'd lay in my own filth, a bed full of black marks, with bed sores on my body from just passing out and waking up and using and passing back out. No way to live a life, but this is what every day started to look like. I had 2 rock bottoms, both vastly different. One of them was I'd just gotten out of a psych ward. My face was all picked out. I was barely 130 pounds with marks all over my body and in my veins. I had really looked at myself in the mirror for the first time, and I really saw myself for the first time of what my life had come to. I just had slept out on the street. I was holding a sign for money. I was rolling around with people I didn't know in different houses I had never been to. And I really looked at myself of what my life had become. I had no reason to be living this way, but I couldn't stop, and I didn't want to live anymore. I was getting to the point where after every use, I was getting mad when I woke up that I didn't die because I just wanted it to end. I was past the point where I was even getting high. I was taking large amounts and just hoping not to wake up. I think at that time I would have been okay if I didn't wake up, so I didn't have to continue on. But here's the thing that broke me even more than that, my second rock bottom. My second rock bottom is I was in a hotel room with all the money that I could have. I had the fiance back in my life, the car, six-figure paying job. I had everything that when I was homeless, I said, you would use like me if you had been through all the things and lost everything like I did. But here I am in this hotel room with all the things I said were the problem. The money, the car, the job, everything that was my excuse of getting high. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and that's when it hit me. Wade, today you have all of these things and you still can't stop getting high. I realized that no longer could I blame all these outside things. I was the problem, and this addiction had taken over my life. And no matter what situation I was in, whether it was homeless, on the streets, holding a sign for money and sleeping by the canal, or having a high six-figure paying job with Ubering my drug dealer to me, all the drugs at my disposal, in a nice fancy hotel, I was miserable in both places. I realized I was beyond self-help or human aid. I had tried everything at that point. I also need to talk about the damage and what I did to all the people around me. See, addiction doesn't just affect the person who's going through it. It has this sick ripple effect around anybody who does the worst thing possible, which is just to love that person unconditionally. To my parents, who I lied, I manipulated, I cheated out of their time, energy, resources. To friends and family who were surrounding, just loving on me, sending me prayers and good things, and all I wanted was to see what I could get from them. I can't tell you how many times I had built the hope of others just to pull out the rug one more time. With my dad, I had a cyclical relationship because of his disease and my disease, and we were the same. It was this sick bond that we had, which, because of my addiction, allowed me to manipulate him into enabling me. My parents enabled me all the way up until about a year before I finally got sober. So what changed? I was at a fork in the road where I didn't know what to do. I could no longer keep going on the way I was going on because I was so miserable I just wanted to die. But on the other hand, I didn't know how to stay sober, and I couldn't imagine a life where I had to stay sober forever. I couldn't ever put together 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, much less never a year in my life. So what was I to do? I finally threw up both hands and said I was willing to do whatever it takes. I stopped doing what Wade wanted to do, and I just took direction from others. I went to places I didn't want to go to. I went to meetings, events, functions. I just said yes to everything. When someone said a suggestion, I took it, regardless of trying to overthink it. Here's the thing about addiction. I have a brain that's trying to kill me and talk me into sweet nothings all day long. And it sounds just like Wade and Wade's voice, but it's constantly trying to lead me back to the drink or the drug. I had to take direction from other people who had been through it. The old me wasn't working, so I had to let him go. It wasn't one person who got me sober, but a group of men at a local AA hall in Minnesota. People who just showed me the way and guided me and gave me direction. Another place was Paul Garcia's Sober Living. Though I didn't stay sober there, it planted seeds of how to do life on life's terms. It held me accountable, gave me structure and different tools that I needed to take on when I was in this new journey of sobriety. I can't point to one moment that was a spiritual awakening for me. What I can say is over a period of time, I started to notice little things like I wasn't so obsessed with myself anymore. I didn't think about drinking or using in days, weeks, and at one point, a month. What I realized is that this emptiness and loneliness feeling that used to be a hole in my heart started being filled with purpose and things that I could do. I started to dream again. I think I knew this time was different right around a year of sobriety. I was showing up to meetings, doing all these things. I think the real change happened at around a year sober. I had built this community in sobriety that I didn't even want to leave. The thought of using, I couldn't even tell you the last time it came up. And going back to the old Wade didn't even sound appealing for me. That's not Wade, that's something that had happened now in my life. The idea of building Plugged In Recovery came in 2018. The crazy part is I actually came up with the company while I was loaded, sitting in my sister's house. I was so sick and tired of the process that I had experienced when I was trying to find help and treatment that I knew there had to be a better way. And people had always told me in the 12 steps, if you try to serve others, that's the best way that you can stay sober. I thought in my delusion that if I started this recovery company as I was high, it would help me get sober. The sad part about it is, as I was building our online community, people would reach out to me and they'd say, "Wade, you've helped me so much," or "I really like that post, you inspire me." And deep down, I knew I was being a fraud. And I would be crying, just saying, man, I can't even help myself. I originally thought Plugged In would just be a Facebook group, maybe an online website for people to get resources when they were trying to find treatment or send a loved one to treatment. I had no idea it would turn into sober livings and treatment centers and the larger community that we have today. As I started the company, I had a stable 9-to-5, something that was safe, secure, long-term benefits. I walked away from all that to pursue my dream. I quit that job with nothing more than a belief that if I really tried everything I could do to help other people, in the end it would all work out. I had a belief God would take care of and provide for me no matter what. If I continued to help other people, that I would be okay. The other beauty of recovery is I had fallen down so many times that I knew how to start from ground zero. So I knew if it didn't completely work out, that I would be okay as long as I stayed sober. That first year, it nearly broke me. Learning all the licensing, the compliance stuff, not realizing this is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job, that emergencies can happen at any single time or you're meeting everybody in the moment of their life's biggest crisis. I wasn't ready for any of that. I would get a phone call at 3 a.m. that this guy relapsed or this girl relapsed and they needed my help, so I'd come running. I didn't have systems or processes in place to take care of all these things. I was constantly worried internally that, oh, what if somebody dies? Or what if I don't help someone else get sober? Could ruin their life. I was scared that my best wasn't going to be good enough. What I found was that as long as I continually put in that effort, I had nothing to be scared of. But here's the thing, I knew what it was like to have nothing. I've slept by a canal, I've held a sign for money. So to chase my dream and to help other people, it didn't scare me if I failed. I could always go back and start over. What scared me more was not building this dream and having to live a life full of regret, knowing what I had inside me. So what I did next, I went all in. In the last 3.5 years, we've helped over 5,000 people at Plugged In Recovery. I don't know what exact percentage of them have stayed sober, but I know I get to witness miracles every single day. Families being put back together, dads coming home to their kids, moms getting their kids from CPS, guys and girls getting their first big boy and big girl jobs, marriages happening, first homes being purchased, people starting their own business after years on the streets or failing. I get to witness these miracles every single day. People starting over who counted themselves out. These people get a real shot at life for the first time, and that's what this is for. When someone relapses or dies, I take that personal. Even though I know that's not how it works, I want the best for anybody who's ever in our care. It's a stark reminder of what we're facing. Addiction is a monster. It doesn't discriminate who it's going after, and it's a real disease that we have to fight every single day. I can also still put myself in those shoes because it isn't that long ago that I was there, so I get it. People ask me, how do you balance making money and helping people? Don't you think you're in the business of helping those who are sick? My answer is this: if you help people and focus on the first part, the money will come, and you can use that to help even more people. If you're watching this and you're in it right now, hear me. I need you to really look close and hear me. The only thing you have to do is start. Just start, that's it. If you don't know how to start, just call, ask someone else who's already been there for help. You were made for so much more than what you're experiencing right now. Take it from someone who's been there, someone who's slept by canals, held signs for money, who's had over a 6-figure job and lost it all, who's had the relationship and had it all taken from them. Your purpose is for so much more, and you, just like me, can come out on the other side of that. And you deserve to have that feeling. You deserve to have the life that you were created for. If I could go back to my younger self and say one thing, it would be just this: buckle up, because it's gonna get a whole lot better. The blood, sweat, tears, broken hearts, broken dreams, broken relationships, everything that you're going through today that you paid a cost for, both monetarily and time-wise, won't be for nothing. You're gonna use this to help so many people recover and have a fresh chance at life. Your pain has a purpose. Your story is still being written. This isn't the end, it's just the beginning, but you have to start now. If you or someone you know is struggling, click the link in the bio, reach out for help. And if this hits home, click the like button, share, send it to a loved one. The more we can spread the message of hope, the better. And that's it. We can't wait to see you guys in the next one.